Well, model kit builders, this is a highly anticipated model kit for me because I haven't built a master grade since the Shinmusha, which is a good 15 to 20 years ago. And I've really come to like deformed things more than the realistic versions of things because I don't expect perfection when they're deformed. So yeah, let's look at. I actually pre-ordered this back in July of 2023. It is now June of 2024. That's how long the back order took to fill in. So that's a real shame it took this long to get it. Let's see. So we have a master grade technology inside of an SD frame. This has 4 axes just in the head, I guess. Shoulders seem to move in a certain way. I don't know. We'll have to see. The torso can move left, right, front, back, but there's actually pistons that actuate with it, so that'll be neat. And the gun can go on the backpack. That's not too interesting. The legs can fold perfectly flat, it looks like, so it can do a kneeling down position like that image there. It's 115 millimeters high. I don't know to what point that is, but whatever. Camera eyes, so multiple layered eyes. Some sort of Fresnoing in the clear pink here to give it a glimmering. And then this is, I'm curious about, real metallic gloss injection plastic. Will that plastic look metallic? I doubt it, but we'll find out. No glue is necessary, but you should probably get some hobby side cutters. And the plastics are already colored, so you don't need to paint them if you don't want to. Alright, let's just take a look at this gloss plastic right now. Get this out of the way. Well, I mean, it's definitely glossy metallic plastic, but you see here, that's the waviness that you come to expect in such plastics. I can see a little waviness right there, so it's not an even metallic. As the plastic flows through the mold, it creates these ripples. On the smaller parts, it's not an issue though, but you can, it's not drastically bad, but it's, I guess they're trying to make it better. Anyways, I don't even think I'm going to paint this thing. A, because I'm lazy, and B, I'm kind of curious how good it looks without painting. These Bandai kits, they're so tightly fit, with no glue, that sometimes if you paint the stuff, you end up having to scrape the paint off anyways, just to make the parts fit. So here's that Fresnelation. On the outside it's smooth here, but the inside surface, they molded in all these little facets to make it look like a reflector. And I gotta say, it looks pretty good. Obviously with some white color behind it, it's probably gonna look better. Here's some more of that plastic, that metallic stuff. Oh, never mind. Wait. I thought this is the same runner, because this neck piece looks identical, right? So I don't know what's going on here. Maybe these are shoulder pieces. Oddly, it's flowing the same way. It's got the same, rippling right there and there. Interesting. Something about that mold, how the plastic flows. At least it's consistent, but you'll have to make a decision if you like that plastic or not. This one has the decals as well. Alright, so those are standard stuff. The non-metallics, yeah, even some of the non-metallics, you can see some of the waviness and ripples, especially on big panels. But here, like on this black, let's see if we can see. See? There's this line cutting across there. Maybe you'll see a little better with the toothpick. So, if you want your models to look super nice, you might have to paint them. But again, I don't think I'm going to bother. Well, this is nice. These are stickers, not decals. So we'll have to see how those end up looking. Here's a gold plastic. Let's see. I guess it's alright. I mean, I'll open this one up while we're at it. So this is the inner frame. this I'm definitely not going to paint because I want the panels to stick to it. But if it's painted, it's probably going to be too tight. A lot of small pieces here, being a deformed. These look like duplicate runners. And finally, we got the instructions. Alright, so it gives some specs on the actual robot in the fantasy world of Gundam. 18 meters tall, 28 tons. The smoothbore gun, 300 millimeters. 2023 is the release of the kit. And there are all the runners. It should have all those parts and the marking stickers. And then here we go. So it's going to be built in modules. These module numbers. And so if you've never built one of these kits, you want to get side cutters. Like I'm going to use these Rui tools. I'm a fan of these. You want to cut them far away and then trim off the extra cutting. That way it prevents stretch marks in the plastic. And those stretch marks tend to look very white, so they don't look good. But otherwise, everything else, you just got to look at a part number, some directional arrows, and you should be able to press it all together. There are some extra notes here in English as well as Japanese. Cut out the parts cleanly. I would have to say that for all the pieces. I'm not sure why they would say that. Oh, well, this is interesting. You can go use your mobile to this QR code and it'll show you the instructions in color, it looks like. Or that's parts list. Each step of assembly. So I guess full color assembly online. Okay. And then some more promotional stuff. Basically looks like all the stuff from the box telling you what's happening. Oh, but a little bit more about the smoothbore gun moving. Some sort of deployment of the mace. Back to the instructions. And there you go. More of that. And then the decals. Now, as well, here you can do this QR code and go to a color image of where these decals are supposed to be. Alright, yeah, because that's kind of hard to tell what's happening with just black and white lines. And then if you did want to paint it, here's some paint color codes or recommendations. Alright, so I'm not even sure how I'm going to go about building this. Historically, I just put all the letters in one box, and then I just kind of guess what pieces are or what, but sometimes you have to take the thing apart, and it gets annoying. I might actually build this per the instructions. I'm just going to, well, we'll see. I'll fast forward and catch you at the end with any problems or whatnot. So finally finished. Boy, I'm just gonna guesstimate, but it took probably 2 hours just to trim off the pieces and clean them up. There wasn't that much cleaning up necessary, but yeah, a few times I had to take out the nanofile, and then like a little salon sanding stick to clean up the nubs. Then as far as assembling the actual robot, maybe that took like an hour and a half, possibly 2 hours. And then it took me over 2 hours just to apply all the stickers. But I applied all the stickers except for, some of these icons. But everything else I just jammed onto as much as I could. So that was unnecessary. I probably wasted an hour just putting all the extra stickers on. Alright, so as far as, cutting all the pieces ahead of time, you can do it. I just sort them out into trays, and then you can figure out what parts are what when you're looking at the assembly guide. So that saves some time. I thought I'd just leave it apart so you could get a better look at the articulation of it before, and then we'll put it together. So here in the neck, obviously it pivots there. There's a ball peg up there. But these little pistons here, they do move, so you can make it look a little more realistic. But they don't move automatically like the ones in the torso. Alright, speaking of the torso, so this backpack, you can take it off, but it has 2 pegs and it pivots on those 2 pegs, so that's kind of neat. And then this has the additional grappling arms or whatnot, or they're just, I guess, extensions that pop out. And these little holes are meant to hold these things, which hold the weapons. So you could, put this mace thing on. I think you have to put it on upside down, or you gotta mount that thing upside down. For some reason, oh, I see. It's this thing. So yeah, you can have that thing mounted, and then yes, I guess if you spin that around, you could have it upwards. But anyways, you get the gist. So it's kind of neat that those hide away, and these little metallic pieces are definitely nice. Saves painting time. Okay, so even inside of this thing, there's a lot of molded details. Alright, so this thing also pivots, this little thruster thing. It's kind of neat. Alright, you can see a lot of the metallic silver popping through. Alright, so anyways, you can take that off again, but with 2 pegs, it's on there pretty firmly. For some reason, this side doesn't want to close down as tight as this side. I don't know why. Maybe I didn't trim apart well enough. Alright, so now here, the cockpit can slide open. Should slide off, actually, yeah. So that's the cockpit. Tiny little seat. I don't know if you can see it in there. There's no figure, though. It doesn't come with any figure. Alright, so that slides back on. Alright, so here are these pistons. And if I move this thing, you can see how they extend out. And if I push it all the way in, you can see how it actually comes through a little bit. But you can see it moves left and right as well as front and back, so that's really, really cool. That's really awesome, actually. I like that a lot. So that's that ball. There's a ball peg up there facing forward, and that's what the articulation you see is going on here. But this thing also has a pivot here, so you can swing the abdomen, the lower torso sideways. So let's start putting this thing together. So here's the neck thing. Now one issue with the neck, though, see these pistons, if you bring this head far forward, with the pistons out of the way, it's fine. This little white thing also pivots a little bit. But they look kind of weird how they end like that, so if you want it to look a little more clean, you move the pistons down, and then it looks like they're actually actuated. And so you can tilt it down, but you can't bring it forward because the pistons will collide with that blue piece. So you just gotta get something really thin in there to move them up and out of the way. But here you can do a giggity action right there, and then obviously you can do left and right tilting as well, and obviously rotation. So the head's quite high, like that, excessively high. It kind of looks weird, or low. Alright, so that's what's going on with the head. Alright, so this thing will peg into the the hip, and now let's look at this thing articulating now. So very cool. Front, back. Those pistons are really neat. Okay, so then we have some side hip covers, and those will articulate on a ball peg, as you can see. They'll rotate, well, angle, but then this thing is also a hinge, so that'll go up and down as well. You can actually spin it upside down if you wanted to, but I don't see a reason. So now you can see me accidentally moving these little front skirt plates, and on the back side you can see it's a ball peg going in there. So nice little details on the back as well. And then the back plates as well, they're just hinges, or like, they're pegs, but they're not balls. So they just kind of go up and down. Alright, so here's the hip joint. You can see you can actually spin it up and down to get a little more height, or lower the hip itself. Let's bring it back down. It's very tight. You know, the model's new right now. I think I'm going to actually have to put a leg in there. So, well, before I put the leg in there, so you can obviously see this is like a hinge inside of a ball, and so there's a peg going on there. Okay. So you can, once you move the skirts up and out of the way, you can move the leg back pretty far. Forward not that much, so a collision going on here though, and in and out. Again, if you move this up out of the way, pretty decent for the thigh. Alright, so there's this kneecap here. There's a hinge clearly going on there, but the instructions mention something about something moving automatically. I think maybe, no? Well, you can see, but I don't get any indication that there's a second hinge at the bottom. Well, there it is. It's pivoting right around there on that axis. So it is a double knee after all. And then on the back of the knee you have this armor plate that'll pivot as well. So I see, that's what's going on. It's automatically bringing or moving these plates out of the way. So if it's kind of flush like that, you'll see how it's kind of forcing. It's moving these two plates around. Interesting. Okay, so I'm guessing that's what the instructions meant by the automatic movement of armor and stuff. Alright, so this thing doesn't pivot here, but this one does. These things do not pivot, these little blade looking thruster things. So there's a little shield in front of the ankle to help cover up that gappiness, and that's just going to pivot up and down. And then the foot has a peg going up in there, so you could rotate it a little bit, but it's colliding, you know, with this, unless you clear that out, like here, right? So you can rotate it all around. But this is a circular pivot as well, so the whole foot will have some side-to-side rocker, as you can see. Okay. And then the front of the foot will pivot up and down. And then I believe these toes, yep, the toes will also pivot. They won't pivot down, they only pivot up a few degrees. Suffice to say though, for something this small and compact, it's got a lot of flexibility in it. Very impressive. I'm going to put this other leg on. Alright, so let's get to the arms. Let's just take a look at them before we put them on. So let's start with the hands here. So you can see there's a thumb, there's a forefinger, and then these three are the same piece of plastic. But anyways, you can get a pretty decent amount of hand posing because they're all on these ball peg things. There's a little rectangular hole there for to hold the weapons. So then the hand just has a ball peg here, but this also is a little bit of a hinge on the ball peg. So obviously you can rotate 360 up, down, and then that hinge. Not sure if the hinge is really necessary, but oh well. Okay, so the forearm here, now you'll see there's a piston there. That's cool, right? It just automatically brought the piston out. Push that back in, right? So it's a single pivot elbow, but it bends more than 90 degrees, so that's pretty cool. This blue piece doesn't articulate. No, it's just a slide-on armor piece. There are maybe two parts where I thought maybe glue would be helpful. If anything falls off in the future, I'm just going to glue it in place. You could just expose just the whole, inner frame, but I don't really care to look at that. I think this mentions something about this maybe moving as well, but I don't see what would move. These are all kind of just in place. I don't think they're meant to slide. But anyways, we do have I think I am going to have to put this onto the body to really show. So this thing will move in and out. This, I can't do it without the arm in it though. So this actually pegs downwards. It doesn't go in that way. Okay. So can't seem to bring it out. There you go. You can see a little bit of moving in and out. There it is. Maybe the nub probably has to get worn out. So that's actually a pretty good amount, right? This whole gray thing, metallic thing, is outside the body. There, it's inside the body. Alright, so then you have this little peg going into the shoulder. And I think that's actually pivoting upwards as well. Yeah, it is pivoting on something inside of that vertical. Not too much, but better than nothing, I guess. And then here you can actually see half of a pivot as well for this shoulder armor, which can rotate obviously that way, but it can also pivot up and down. So I guess it seems an alright mechanism. Pop this other one in. Alright, so the shoulders all tighten in like that. Or let's bring them out, make them look a little more gappy. Okay, so yeah, I guess that gives you a lot of extra movement for the arm to get into some dynamic poses. That's all I see for the articulation. Yeah, I think that's it. So everything's all nice and tight, being a new thing. You can see the feet. You can just plant on the ground. All right. So here's the mace club, whatever you want to call it. And it took a while for me to figure this out, so make a note when you're putting this together. This side and this side are identical parts. This side and this side have a separate part number. So that's what took me a while to figure out. There. Right now it's all in the closed collapsed position. But if you want, if you hold this little middle section and you push this upwards, it forces them out. Hopefully you saw that. It doesn't retract them automatically, you gotta do that. But yeah, push this in or upwards and they split out. I think that's pretty cool. Very neat. This thing is just a rotating thing to peg into this little holder. But I think it's supposed to peg into this gap right here. Actually, I gotta maybe close that. Yeah. So basically we want to do this, but you can rotate that to a spot like that. Alright, this is a separate piece. You could remove it, but I'm not sure why. And so these little rectangular things are what peg into those hands. There's supposed to be a left and a right. that's a nice, you don't even need the fingers grabbing it. That's a nice firm grip right there on that one. Let's try this one. Obviously, there's a lot more leverage here. Now, in this case, no, it shouldn't matter. I thought maybe there was a left to right, but no, you could put that thing in anyway. And again, right now, at least with the new model, it's pretty firm. That's a lot of weight cantilevering off of there. I wouldn't recommend doing that. But suffice to say, you can actually probably get both hands on this thing and be quite confident that it's not going to work loose. So here we have the katana sword. This is the lamest of the weapons. It just has this white thing on it. You know, I kind of feel like maybe this would have been nice to have in the silver metallic. But whatever. And it just has one of these rectangles. So I assume it's only really meant for the right hand. You know, because the blade is on this side. Alright, so yeah, the fingers do articulate well enough to think that it looks like it's grabbing it. Very neat. So here's the collapsible 300mm cannon thing. Interesting. This is the only plastic unique. Nowhere is this color. It's like a dark olive color. It's not found on the robot itself. So you got this ball peg here for the hand grip, and again, it seems to be a right-handed weapon if you want to use that actual rectangular thing, which I think you kind of have to. Okay. So being such a large rear end, just kind of colliding with the shoulders, I'm not sure how you're expected to actually holster this, mount this weapon on this guy. Twist that hand up this way. Yeah, this is there's a lot of collision going on here. Maybe if I get this out of the way. Okay, that's helpful. But see, I can't really bend the elbow because it's actually longer than the pivot point of the elbow, so you can't really, it doesn't seem like you want to, well, you can't really hold it like a pistol or even like an SMG where you're bending your elbow. Yeah, it's not gonna, it's just too much collision. So I almost feel like the only way to pose this thing is to keep this arm straight. I just have the thing sticking straight out. Seems a bit of a floppy mess here. Yeah, I'm not liking this thing. Doesn't seem nearly as easy to articulate as the other weapons. This thing maybe shouldn't articulate. I mean, this thing is weird. Can't get it into the hand now because it's colliding with the shoulder again. Now the thumb's jammed up in the wrong place, but twist that. I almost feel like that's the only way you could really pose it like that, you know? And then the barrel doesn't really lock in place here. You'd have to put some poster putty in there. So it's like off at an angle very easily. Alright, so it will fold over like that, but I don't know. I just don't know why you would really want to pose it with this weapon. Like if you put it down, like if it's trying to walk with it, and this thing's gliding with the ground. I mean, you can remove it, but it's very strange. That's kind of weird looking, right? It's just, I just think this weapon is too big. Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to pose this gun in any sort of way to look like the thing is holding it in a normal fashion. It's very strange. Alright, so maybe some other reviewers have figured that out, but off the top of my head, I'm not liking that or feeling the ability to pose that properly. In fact, I actually don't even think I'm going to pose it with any of these weapons because the thing has claws. I like the thing just being a close combat clawing machine. A couple of other issues when I was building it was a concern is these lenses, there's nothing trapping the green eye lens inside of this face. They're literally just pushed in there right now. They're not trapped by this gray or this white or anything like that. So I feel like if you don't have that tight, if you trimmed off too much plastic, they might just fall out. So that was a little concerning. And then there was another part somewhere around here that felt really loose, but clearly hasn't fallen off yet. So, all right. So let's see if we did want to put this sword on its back. There we go. So this white part has to go into that to store properly there. This thing I don't think is meant to actually ever store on the back. That's another place where I think it would make logical sense to maybe have it just back here somewhere. And then maybe on one of these extending arms over the shoulder. But seeing how that's a round thing, and I don't see anything on here that wants to go into that. Even with this thing, I don't know if this can hold the thing anywhere. Oh, maybe right here. No. I guess that's the closest area. Oh, there's a round peg here, though. Although, oh, well, let's see. Oh, yeah, look at this. So there's the corresponding recesses here. So if you mess around with stuff long enough, you'll figure it out. I'm going to have to fold the barrel up, though. Or actually, yeah, let me show you the thing folded up. Okay, so there. You can store it in the middle. That works pretty well. Let's see, it's kind of back heavy. No, but you can still figure it out. So that works. Jeez, that's a long barrel, though. Alright. But, if we get the whole arm thing, this little thing that pops out, like this, well, fold that back open, maybe. This is backwards, by the way, but I think that's the only way you'd be able to get the gun actually facing forward. Like this. It's kind of, the gun's upside down right now. Yeah, that thing. But I guess that's one way to go about trying to pose the thing. Like that. Yeah, one thing I didn't mention is there's a clear green piece, like the eyes right on there, so that's kind of helpful thing to have. It'd be better if you put silver paint behind there, though. Alright, so that... I know this is backwards. So unfortunately, you can't really put this gun in this way, because it's got these two different teeth. I think it would have been better if it just had identical teeth so you could pose it forward easier. Right, so like if that was in the up position like this, it would be nice to just do that, but you can't. So that's a lost opportunity that could have easily been designed into it. Oh, one last thing. There is a 3mm peg hole here if you want to use a Gundam stand or any sort of like 12th scale action figure. And it's nice that it's got this little door to cover it up. Little slide-on door. That's cool. Let me go get a stand. Oh, one nice design feature I forgot to mention is the way the pivot for this shoulder is made. You'll see there's this tiny little tooth here, and so you have to put the arm in upside down like this, and then basically that tooth is keeping this arm from falling off the peg, you know, once you rotate past that verticals. Yeah, so the arm can never fall off because that tooth is trapped inside of there. Unfortunately, that's not the case for the legs, but hopefully it won't be a problem in the future. So this is just a 12 scale action figure stand. They also have 3mm pegs. You can buy them off AliExpress or naturally just buy an action figure. Yeah, these joints are all so tight. Now for some reason, there we go, that armor's colliding. Let's try to get this character into an aggressive stance. So the Fresneling of these pink things is really cool. It definitely catches the light in a certain way. So while I was spinning around, thought I'd just show it to some other products here. This is a 144 scale Bandai product. What are they called? 30 minutes missions. So I guess you could pose them in the same display. It's just this is considered like a fat robot now, right? Whereas these are all slender looking in general. This is the STCS, the with the cross silhouette frame. So the larger the frames, and now you can see they're actually quite similar in size. This is obviously a little bit bigger, but these two could definitely pose next to each other, I think. Right? This one's detailed up quite a bit, though, with a bunch of, marker and decal work. Alright. And then this is from Sakura Wars. This is made by Bandai. I think this is a 1/35th scale or possibly 1/20th scale. The Sakuras have 2 scales, so it's kind of weird. And now this is a big chunky robot that also happens to have a katana. So I think these two could definitely be displayed and be like friends or something like that. Alright. Anyways, that builds videos on all those. Actually, the 30 minutes missions I just bought the way it was. I didn't actually build that one. It's a slightly different pose with the good old gun thing, although that whole floppiness bothers me. Yeah, it looks alright with the weapons, but it's very tall, of course. And here it is, trying to put down some mace justice here. So, for such a squat figure, you can get decent enough posing. It's not going to be probably as good as a full-size 1/100 scale master grade, but I like the deformed stuff, as I mentioned at the beginning. Here it is in like a flying King Kong position. I think it looks pretty cool. I might have to display like this, and you can see all the the pistons actuated and all that stuff. Pretty neat. And so lastly, I guess we'll just have in this good old standing by mode with everything loaded out on it. So it's a very cool figure. I guess in the past 15 years, what makes this better than the Shinmusha I built is the nubs are a little bit better. Not all the nubs, you still have some big nubs to deal with, but a lot of the nubs on this thing were so small you could theoretically just rip them off and you wouldn't even see them. So, but yeah, it's still great. It's a great figure for sure. If you like super deformed stuff or slightly deformed stuff, I think this is the one to get. I'm not sure if I'm going to get the wing one that's come out. That's the third in the line. And I really like the Freedom Gundam that they came out first. The question is, what ST master grades will they come out with next? I'd be curious what you guys would like to see. I would like to see a Zegok, but that's such a basic looking figure, although awesome looking. Or maybe a Gira Zulu. Those things are pretty cool. Or a Nightingale actually would be the best thing, I think, because that's supposed to be a pretty crazy big robot. But would they actually scale it up? Because a Nightingale would probably be twice the size of this. Uh, I don't know. Or would they just keep it around the same height and just ignore scaling altogether? I have no idea if this is in scale with the other two Master Grade SDs either. So, anyways, yeah. As long as you're willing to take some time, 6-10 hours. It's not hard to do. It's just time consuming. And I see no reason to even bother painting this unless you really want to weather it. I didn't put any panel liner on this. All I did was, put the stickers on. And they're pretty good stickers. Unless you're looking really close, it's kind of hard to see the edges of them. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next Gundam video.